Hey friend, welcome to the Halfway to Dead podcast. I'm your host, Jen Lovell. Listen, you and I have reached that age where we are done with the bullshit. We know that midlife is our chance to flip the script and experience life on our own terms. It's time to reconnect with our higher selves and reclaim our inner peace. Are you ready with an open heart and an open mind? Awesome, you're in the right place. Hop in and ride shotgun with me on this midlife spiritual journey. Hey, friends. Welcome back. Thank you. So today's a special episode, a little celebration, if you will, because it's been a whole freaking year since I've invited you on this midlife spiritual journey with me. Can you believe it? I have been doing this podcast gig for a full year. And don't you feel bad out there? Because I know right now you're thinking, oh my gosh, I should have got Jen a gift for this big moment. You can give me one right now. Here's what I need from y'all. Give me a 5-star review. Make sure you've clicked that follow button. And if you're feeling extra giddy and friendly and helpful today, go ahead and leave me a full review. Guys, I would love it. Okay, let me tell you why this feels like such a huge accomplishment. Because if you're not in this old podcast world, you're probably like, whatever, I've done stuff for a whole year. Who cares? Well, let me tell you the stats. So there's around 2.5 million podcasts for you to choose from. Of those, about 450,000 are active. Active meaning they're putting out new episodes on a pretty regular basis. But let me just tell you, podcast survival rates are bleak, y'all. Only 47% make it past episode 3, and only 8.5% make it past episode 50. And guess what episode we're on right now? We're at episode 55 of just our regular old episodes. If you count all of the Wellness Wisdom minis and the bonus episodes and two-parters and all of that, we're like at 75. So we're kicking ass and taking names over here. All right. We have thousands and thousands of downloads and listeners in 76 different countries. And that is not lost on me, guys. I am pumped about that. So shout out to the whole freaking world right now. Wherever you're listening from, I see you and I appreciate you. So I have been reflecting on all the incredible conversations that we've had on this podcast over the last year. And I just want to say I am so grateful to all of the guests that have come on the show, because I know I'm not sitting over here all Mel Robbins, Joe Rogan, whatever, right? I'm fully aware. I'm just little old Jen Lovell. So all of my guests that took time out of their day to podcast with me, it means a lot, because time is our most precious commodity. We can't put a price on our time, and it's limited. So anyone who takes time out of their day, out of their lives to commit to doing something for me is a big deal. So if you're one of my guests listening, shout out to you. Thank you. So I'm grateful to not only my guests, but all of my listeners out there. I know you guys are busy, and so you've hung in with me during this year, and I really, really appreciate it. We have covered so much ground together. We've been diving deep into various aspects of healing, self-discovery, and our own spiritual growth. I've tried to make this podcast all about empowering you to embrace life's challenges, surrender to divine redirects, and start finding a greater peace, purpose, and presence in your own life. Here's what's been clear on this little journey we're on together. This midlife spiritual awakening is truly a shared experience. It's been about learning, growing, and realizing we don't have to do it alone. It's not too late to start, change, or heal, no matter where you're at in life. Today, I want to take a little journey through some of the really cool, impactful conversations we've had on this podcast. A little Cliff Notes version, because across all of our episodes, a few core themes have consistently emerged. I think they resonate with all of us because we have this shared midlife experience. Let's jump in and take a glimpse into the wisdom we've explored during our first year of this midlife spiritual journey together. So one of the first things that seems like it's come out of every single episode over the past year is doing the work, doing the damn work, you guys. And I'm going to be bold enough to say that doing the work is a non-negotiable during a midlife spiritual journey. Because if you're not willing to take a look at a lot of things, you're getting nowhere fast. So let's talk about what this doing the work means, because it's part of the healing journey. The work often involves confronting and healing past traumas, includes shadow work, inner child healing, lots of different things. We have to acknowledge that deep healing requires honesty and accountability. which can be uncomfortable. I've said it many times. It sucks. It's going to suck. It really does suck. But we have to do it because we have to look at past experiences from multiple perspectives so that we can release all that anger and resentment. One of the core ideas is that until we heal, we can't truly resolve things with other people. Right? We have to heal ourselves. We've talked about how it is kind of like a coming home to yourself. We have to acknowledge and process emotions like envy, guilt, blame, low self-esteem, self-sabotage, depression, anxiety, physical pain. You guys, we get so much shit we're dealing with in midlife. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. But by doing this work, we're going to help ourselves. And we talked about how we're also affecting all the generations before us and coming after us because we're no longer going to carry this trauma forward, right? Ultimately, doing the work is going to lead us to a deeper sense of self-love, body positivity, and just plain ass joy, you guys. We had a few guests that really talked about some different modalities we can use to do some of this work. Do you guys remember Megan Campbell-Tagetti? We went over traditional therapy and counseling. She helped us get rid of the stigma around seeking professional help and the process we can go through when we're looking for the right one and what to expect out of traditional therapy. Lots of good stuff in that one. And then we talked to Amy Craver about QHHT. Do you guys remember this? I shared my experience and we talked about how QHHT helps us access our natural state of consciousness and how the primary focus of those QHHT sessions is healing. We also talked to Sally Garazzo about RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy. We focused a lot on how it will help us navigate our menopause transitions, reclaim our authenticity, kind of helps us make sense of past experiences and reprograms our conscious mind. Then we talked about Theta Healing with Lauren Blogu. Do you guys remember Lauren? She's a spiritual teacher and a Theta healer. And she went over how we can heal past traumas, insecurities, and even our physical ailments. And she led us through some really cool Theta Healing meditation. You guys got to go back and listen to all that. We talked a bit with Tracy Trimble, and she talks about tapping into her clients' energies to reveal what she calls their divine assignment path. Remember, figure out what your fear story is or your generational traumas. And then she kind of offered guidance on aligning our soul, ego, and body. And then most recently, we talked with Tammy Janelle and Angela DeCrane, and they introduced us to psychedelic-assisted therapies. We talked about MDMA, but primarily we talked about psilocybin and how you can use that as a tool during your healing process. And we talked about how their process includes IFS, this internal family systems way of approaching therapy. So that was another really cool episode. We got a lot more tools coming, but let's just take a minute to review what some of these guests had to say about doing the work and the healing modalities that they offer.
Yeah. So learning that the therapist is really a blank slate. The therapist is really just meant to reflect everything back, not to really show emotion, opinion, judgment. And yeah, there's a part of that, but I do think that we've gotten, and we should have gotten away from that. We want usually a real person.
Progressing.
They are. We want a connection. We want a humanness. We want, right? And it's a balance. I mean, for me, sometimes it's hard to put into words, right? I want a humanness. I want a connection. I want to feel comfortable and like I can be vulnerable. And at the same time, I also am not going to really hear from that person's personal experiences in a way that makes me feel connected in that way. It's a different type of connection. It's almost like there's something kind of parental about it.
Well, because we don't need to be in crisis mode to seek therapy. I think that's a misconception too. There are big T's and little T's, right? And you may think you don't need therapy because you don't feel like you have any big T's. I wasn't abused as a kid. I haven't been divorced, like whatever. But your T's are still, they need work. They still need work. They're still affecting your body, your health, mentally and physically. Don't wait till you're in crisis mode. Work on it now.
You don't have to, right? If you've ever considered it or think that there's something going on that
you'd like to talk to someone about it, then that's not judgmental and doesn't know you, doesn't know the other people involved. You just want to hear from someone on the outside that can
that's not involved in your objectively, absolutely.
And say validation. I don't know. I feel like just getting some validation and talking something through is like, that's good enough.
a traditional energetic wellness reading, I did your chakras. Part of the reason I did that is because you had mentioned wanting to connect to this authenticity. And also then you use the word like blockages. What are the blockages? I need to be aware of some things that are holding me back, right? And so sometimes the chakra reading is a really nice way to bring an awareness to that very specific compartmentalized area of your life, because each of the chakras deal with or hold or translate the energy that fall into different categories in your life, right? So that helps kind of clear the path, move the way. Move away.
Yes.
Block.
Explain what you just said about like somewhere our blood got tainted. Okay. Or whatever, however you just, so are you saying like physically in an ancestor, something went very wrong? They stored it in their body and we've just kept it going.
Somewhere along the way, there was a massive trauma that occurred, and that fear, that shame, that guilt, all of those things became part of what was passed down that had nothing to do with the person who's even living those things. It's not even theirs to be living, but it's been passed down. So you and I, as 50-somethings, and all the people who are halfway to dead, have accumulated not just your own personal experiences with guilt or shame, but all the experiences that you don't even know about have been accumulated and accumulated and accumulated.
Because when you hear internal family systems, you might go straight to family, what we think of as family systems. My brother, my sister, my mom, my dad. No, that's not what this family system is. Right?
This is your own internal, like within ourselves. So the model, the theory essentially stipulates that we all have different parts of ourselves. So like if you think about just even the way you talk about yourself in your daily life, you might say like, oh, part of me really wants to do that. Part of me is afraid to do that. We're always pointing to it in some way, shape, or form. And so the idea is that like we're born with different parts of ourselves, different aspects of what makes up who we are. And the model in a therapeutic way, emphasis is on self-leadership.
Okay.
So the reason it works so well in the work that we do together is that we're holding space for people to really learn to connect with themselves more deeply, to connect with, your own self-leadership, your soul.
And then take opportunities when they come and see how it feels in your body. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. If it feels exciting, do it. So anyone can do it.
It goes along that whole theme. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Like, just go with that.
Exactly.
Like, trust yourself, because that's the only way that timeline in our lives can change.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to know yourself too. Because if you're completely, like I was, disconnected from your own self, and you're completely just looking outwards and looking for validation and hoping people will tell you you're a good person or whatever, you have to find it within yourself and know yourself. And that's how you can be more easily guided, because otherwise you can just get completely lost, chase after, all kinds of things and end up all over the place.
Yeah.
So imagine you're going to a crowded concert. Your parents and your grandparents are coming. Your children and your grandchildren are coming. You tie a rope around your waist, and each of them are tied to that rope. It's impossible for you to lose each other. You're tied by that rope. That's generational trauma. And so when you cut that rope from you, you're telling them to release their grip on it. And as they release their grip on it, that energy falls away, because it is you that is carrying it. There's a silver hara line that each individual has that goes through their pineal at the center of their forehead, that channels down into their heart, the center of their chest, and down into their biome, just below their belly button. And in every given moment, like a radio being on all of the time, messages are being channeled into the biome, and the cells are interpreting them, feeding them back to soul as feelings and back to ego as thoughts. But if we're blocked at the biome, if our gut health is physically destroyed, or we're not giving permission to connect to source, those messages are muted and we don't hear them. but I have the ability to see them and to bring soul back into alignment with feeling, ego back into alignment with thought, and then unify with the body.
When we look back on them, we can really see where there was a divine hand in the things that were happening. It does not mean that the things that were happening were good, but it does mean that something good comes out of them. We grow, we learn, we change, we develop as a result of these difficulties throughout our lives, but particularly our childhood. It molds who we are. And some people get, broken and become people that have a hard time loving other people, like my father. And some of us have to go through years of being pretty pissed off, because I ain't gonna lie. I was pretty pissed off for a long time, and then eventually come to a place where we find our own spiritual path, where we realize that it sounds so cheesy, and I get that, but love kind of is the answer. Love actually is always the answer. And that, I had a lot of therapy. I worked hard to try to find my sanity in the midst of all the insanity. And I'm not a bit sorry for any of it. I'm not mad at my parents anymore. I'm not mad at myself anymore. I'm not even mad at my ex-husband anymore. Like, I'm not mad at any of them. I just go, thanks guys for teaching me a lot of really important stuff. I'm sorry that you went through what you went through to make you who you were.
So it's a rapid transformational therapy. How does this differ from traditional therapy? What exactly are we doing when we're receiving RTT?
So it's a hybrid method that takes the best bits from psychotherapy, CBT, NLP, parts therapy, positive suggestion therapy, inner child work. So it's a blended method.
Okay.
And the most powerful thing about it is that it's done under hypnosis.
Yeah.
So it's a journey process that's done under hypnosis. So when someone goes into hypnosis, three things are happening. They're more focused to the exclusion of all else. So it's like watching a film. It's like you have this, you're relaxed, but you're in focus. So you're not distracted by lots of things going around you. You're more cognitively flexible, which means that you're more open to suggestion.
Don't you just love those guests? Such a good year, you guys. So we're doing the work. But we need tools. And we talked a lot about these different tools with several different guests this year. Most importantly, I'm going to say is meditation. If you have not started your meditation journey, you might want to get on it. Okay. Because it is life-changing. And I feel like if you've listened along a lot of this year, you've heard most of our guests testify to their meditation practice and how much it's helped during their journey. We talked a lot about that in our episodes with Mickey Abels and Nat Brown. So go back and listen to those. My friend Laura Marie, do you remember we talked about different tools we can use, how to connect with our intuition, how to trust our intuition? We talked about grounding outside with Mother Nature, utilizing our clairs, different crystals, pendulums. I love a good old pendulum. We talked about all different types of tools we can use during our spiritual journey to connect with our own intuition, to connect with our spirit team on the other side. We also went over breath work with Lisa Luna. Then we talked to Sue Schneider about mindfulness, to quiet our sympathetic nervous system. We dove into Reiki with both Amy Craver and Kelly McCauley, not just for us humans, but also for all of our pets and different animals. Amy Craver also went over sound and vibrational healing. So let's jump in and hear some of the most important parts about these tools from our guests this year.
Say one thing you can do is like a protection prayer. Like I talk about this every day. If you wake up every morning, just say like, I ask all my angels, my guides, my white light, whatever you believe in, just wrap this beautiful white ball of light around me and just allow anything that comes into my perception to like bounce off if it's not needed. And don't let me take on what everybody else says. I want my energy to remain mine, their energy to remain there. So it will help because it's a boundary and a blocker. And sometimes I do that when I walk into a room, I just think of like a big bubble around me. Just like, okay, I'm going to be in my bubble.
Yeah, because when I started like working on opening my chakras and different things, and I didn't know that I needed to protect myself from anything. And it was just a lot all the time. Right. For a while, I went through this phase where I was like, ooh, I just feel ick all the freaking time. Yeah. And then someone suggested to me, well, are you setting a container like for all this? And I was like, what are you saying? No, then someone taught me. So now every day I open this, like I visualize my chakras opening in the morning, and then I put my bubble's gold, but I put this gold spinning bubble around me, and I let everybody know. It's basically to keep out negative energy.
There's no wrong way.
I just don't want anything in my space that's not for my best, highest good. So same with different crystals. Basically, what they each just have a different energy.
Yes.
Because walking in a crystal store can be overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming.
You walk in, you go, I don't know which crystals I'm supposed to get.
You start reading meanings and you're like, I need all of them. And then, it's
you're like, okay, this one's for this. I need them all.
Yep. So
Okay.
again, my beliefs, but I always tell you, if you want to dabble in crystals, go into a crystal store, pick out one crystal that you're aligned to. Just feel where your body goes. I wouldn't think too much of it.
Your eye
body
gets drawn to a certain one.
You will know. It doesn't matter the color, doesn't matter the meaning per se. Just take that crystal and work with it. And I say work with it, but carry it. See what you're identifying with it. Put it next to your bedstand if you want to see if it does anything with dreaming. Mm-hmm. You have to kind of build a relationship with that crystal to see what's going on for it. There's something that your body, it's almost like when we're malnutrition and we know we need something, like your body craves carrots, right? Because you need something from the carrots. It's kind of how a crystal works. In my belief is that when you need the crystal, it will find its way to you. So go into a crystal store, but don't get caught up in like, I need 7 crystals, because now you just bought 7 crystals. They all do different things. They all have different energies, frequencies, properties.
Because that little pack, and where it's a little bag that has 7, one for each chakra, just starting your crystal collection.
Walk right in. Grounded is a whole nother thing. And this is really cool because grounding's been a big thing for me. And recently it came back up, and I think there's always a reason. So I share it. But grounding is basically connecting yourself back with the earth, the natural energy that is within our soil that we are all really kind of getting away from. Not many people these days, like you see shoes around everywhere. Like we used to be barefoot all the time. Barefoot was the way, India, everyone didn't wear shoes. Now we take this big rubber sole and we put it on our foot. And what does it do? It's a blocker. It blocks all the natural frequencies that are coming from Mother Earth, which is one of the best things. Imagine when you garden. I don't know if you're a gardener, but when you get your hands in the soil, you feel soil. Like, it's just a different feeling. There's energy within that. Yeah. Same thing with your feet. So I will tell you that there, many years ago, I went and saw a local practitioner and got like a grounding mat because I was at work and I'm always around frequencies of computers. So I want a grounding mat underneath my keyboard, and it just felt good. Like I don't know how to explain it, but I could feel something different. Like I was reconnected. And you like put the mat down and then you connect it to it's got a plug, and not that's plugged in, but there's a wire that goes with it and then it keeps it grounded. That's basically what it is. So grounding, I will say, is one of the best techniques that you can do. And even if you're not in any spiritual, you're like, I'm just listening because I like Jen and I'm just curious about this. Take your shoes off and walk outside. 30 minutes a day is what they say is like where you can actually feel an actual difference.
I mean, however, the reality is that too many times we seek the answers and the fixes externally.
Yeah.
When we have the ability to turn inward. It's that mindful choice to do so. And we have 2 really powerful tools at our fingertips at all times. And that's our heart, which is pumping blood and oxygen for us voluntarily, and our lungs, which are promoting a better oxygen exchange voluntarily.
Okay.
So remember always that in those moments of stress, we may think we need to make a choice to reach out externally. If we're mindful and make that choice to reach out to our internal self.
Yeah.
Look inward. The power to reset the nervous system is 2 minutes away.
No, that is really powerful.
Yeah.
What is this doing?
Yeah. What is breath work a thing? Like, do people practice this? Is this only for people who are
hippies,
yoga instructors, yogis, masters, people who've studied for 50, 60 years and have really mastered? And it really is a modality that can be used by every single person because that is what we have in common. We all breathe.
And we can only control ourselves. We figured out by this age, we love to control other people, but we know we can't. We really can only control ourselves. And when it comes to ourselves, one of the things we can control is our breath.
You've got it.
Because we can't control the other stuff happening in our bodies sometimes.
Yes. And I think reading that definition of what breath work is what you just said. When I became a student in my 50s.
Yeah, why not?
I said to myself, okay, Lisa, you have one goal, and that is to be the best student that you could possibly be.
Yeah.
You're going to take in this information and you're going to learn it and you're going to practice it. And if what comes out of it is you are a healthier, happier person whose mental well-being is improved, then you've made the right choice.
Yeah.
And it's like becoming an observer of your thoughts, really. It's about creating space between what is your mind and your body to give you that the connection to your higher self and your higher perspective. That's how I interpret it. I mean, I know there's different things. The essence is really to create space between what is you and your body and your mind, and allow space to connect to your spirit and allow you to become an observer of your thoughts and what is going on in your mind or body. Because often we're so busy in our minds and our bodies that we're not quite paying attention to the higher essence of who we are. That's what it means for me. And in different meditation traditions or practices, there may be a slightly different meaning. So I need to preface it with that. That's why I do it. And I think that's why quite a lot of people do it. So whatever can take you to that space. For some people, like I said, it's walking. It's walking in nature. For some people, it is just sitting with your spine upright, you know, your hands in an open, receptive position, focusing on your breath and just allowing the space. Focusing on your breath, which allows you to be in touch with that rhythm.
What is setting your intention and how do we go about that?
Yeah. And you literally just kind of said it when you were talking about setting an intention for your day. Most of us like to sort of kind of know what we're doing in our day instead of just getting up and, you know, and that's the same for meditation. Essentially, it's just reflecting on why you're sitting down to meditate. What do you want to cultivate or explore during your session? And then you can just kind of think about that and articulate to yourself your intention clearly. It can literally be like just a word. It could be a phrase. It could be a goal. Like you could meditate on the word peace. So like if you want a peaceful day, you could set your intention on the word peace, and you can just meditate on peace or self-compassion. Or if you need to focus, you set the intention to have focus or letting go. You know, you just want to bring that into your state of consciousness, and you can do it silently or you can do it out loud. But the thing is, there's a difference between an intention and a goal, right? And the thing is attachment. While you're setting the intention, it's just really important to release any attachment to a specific outcome. You don't want to be like, I must, do this. It's just to guide your practice. It's not to make expectation or pressure on you. It's just a guiding light for your meditation.
And this is something that I added in was this Reiki. And so it's just another tool. It's another tool in the toolbox. Take it or leave it. If this is resonating, if you're listening right now and this is resonating, you're like, I'm at that place. I need to heal. I got to start dredging some stuff up from deep and getting it out of my body so that I can feel better on the day to day. This is a tool you can add in.
Reiki's a great start.
It's a great start. Yeah. You combine that. And if you've started a meditation practice and then you're doing this.
Oh, if you get Reiki once a month and you can spend 5 minutes a day in meditation.
Yes. Then when you get profound. There, your mind will drop into that space quicker.
Yes.
I mean, Amy knows, I've had some crazy shit that I have seen.
Yeah.
during my meditations during Reiki.
Yes.
And it is affected by what is going on in the room too. There's been times when we have tried a certain kind of music that's a little more Aboriginal. There was a big beat. It's intense.
It's deeper.
It's more intense. And I had set the intention maybe to go to a beautiful place. Hell no. That, you know what I mean?
Well,
it took me where I needed to go. Why do we need these sounds and what do they do to our bodies?
The resonance from the bowls, the gongs, and the other instruments are able to go in and open and constrict the cells in the body.
Okay.
And as it does this, it cleans the body. So it releases the stored, it's able to release the stored traumas in a way that it's not harsh. You don't even necessarily have to see what the trauma was that you're releasing. It can just be an emotional release where you cry a little or you just take a deep breath and let something go subtly. It's just a nice, calm way to invite energy into the body because we are just cells vibrating.
Right.
So that the vibration from the bowls can go in and move it, release it.
Yes, because with massage, you can massage your muscles. But this is really the only way to get all the way deep, all the way into our bone marrow. Yeah. Because the liquid that we have inside our bodies, because we're almost all water anyway. We're 70% water. And then even down to our bone marrow is liquid.
Yes.
I mean, really, our brain right now is jiggly jello. It's not really solid. And so these vibrations get into there.
Correct.
That's really the only way to get a vibration into those, I don't know, what am I saying? Those fluids.
Those deep crevices that fingers can't reach.
You can't get to it without the sound. What would you say some of the main benefits for the animal and the human, but primarily the animal? What kind of things are you seeing them get relief from?
Getting relief from whether it's a physical issue, it's an acute or it's a chronic issue, if it's an injury, or if it's something that they consistently maybe struggle with, so maybe a digestive issue or, an emotional issue, that anxiety or aggressive behavior, or they're just having a hard time interacting with their animal siblings sometimes.
Okay, yeah.
This can promote just more balance in that. Biggest thing with animal Reiki is promoting that connection between human and animal. I don't provide any healing. The animal takes what they need from that Reiki.
Yes, because Reiki is more, you're just a conduit.
Yes.
For healing energy to come through you to them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And just emphasizing that, Reiki is a wonderful, holistic, non-invasive practice. It's such a great complement to traditional veterinary medicine. I do not come into a home environment pretending that I'm going to heal an animal from an injury or an ailment. I'm there to help promote healing. I'm there in partnership with that traditional. Yeah,
because we're not here to say, hey guys, you don't need the vet anymore.
Exactly.
You just got to call Kelly. No, we got to still go do all the things at the vet. But this is a nice complementary thing because I had been telling you, this is just another tool to help your animal with whatever's going on.
So to deepen our understanding of why we're dreaming these things, again, I'll reiterate, it's our mind's way of sorting out our three-dimensional waking life, guiding us towards some answers. But it comes to us in such a weird, bizarre way that we're like, that's so weird. I don't get it.
Right.
So I'm just there to say, okay, this is what this means. And you can use that now in your healing. You can put that on your path and know that this is your mind's way of helping you. This is the subconscious mind's way of helping you. It's spirit's way of helping you. We have all of this influx, right, that is there at our disposal to help us.
Right.
Yeah. But we just don't take the time to go that deep into it.
No. Okay.
So you don't have to be a great painter to paint. You don't have to be a great chef to cook. But when you do take those creative juices and put them out there, depression tends to lessen. I'm not saying it's going to take it away completely. I just wanted to take a minute to encourage people. If you're struggling, find a creative outlet. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's dance, if it's music, if it's cooking, if it's cake decorating, it really doesn't matter what thing you like to do. If it's just playing with your, dress up with your kids, whatever that thing is, to find something that you enjoy, do more of that. But that, believe it or not, is essentially pulling in divine light through the top of your head and down to the bottom of your toes. When you're being creative, you are connecting to the divine more than most people realize. It is a direct channel.
Okay. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Jen, you're missing a big healing modality here that so many guests talked about this year. What is it? Yoga. We've been beating this yoga thing in this year too, haven't we? And you guys know I struggle with this if you've listened at all. Because I have a little love-hate relationship with yoga. I've admitted that. I'm working on it. And I really am, because I think it has a huge potential to be life-changing. So I'm on it. Do you remember Alex Sabaj? She came in and talked about how yoga was a catalyst to her healing. And she emphasized the concept of being able to hold space for someone. And that was a big part of yoga. And do you remember Nat Brown? She talked about how yoga was so instrumental, especially Kundalini yoga, in her spiritual journey. She even told us how saying the word namaste has become a little bit cliched and overused in Western culture, and maybe sometimes could feel a little disrespectful. And recently, Beth Rockert told us all about how yoga helped her get quiet on the mat and how it helped her learn to get to that meditation state and transformed her whole spiritual practice from talking to God to listening. She talked about how the body holds trauma, and movements like yoga are a perfect modality to help get all that stuck energy moving out, right? We got to get it up and out. We can't keep storing all this crap, you guys. Remember Karen Fabian? She talked about how her very first hot yoga class, the first one she'd ever been to, was like a spiritual awakening for her. So there can be big moments in this yoga. She went over her 6 pillars for building confidence, and she described having a power pose as a tool to boost confidence. Savaram and I really dug into Kundalini yoga for transformation and mental balance. She talked about how it's the only type of meditation and yoga that really worked for her, especially for her ADHD. Remember Kundalini energy, described as a dormant energy that resides at the base of your spine and is often considered the energy of your soul or the atomic energy of you. Yeah, we got into it. You got to go back and listen if this is resonating with you. Kimberly Roberts, wasn't she a fun one, you guys? She's our reflexology therapist and yin yoga teacher. We talked about yin yoga and the emotional release and how it aids in purging those stored emotions. Again, getting the stuff up and out of our bodies. And they all talked about how yoga is a practice. Being on the mat is your own personal practice and that we don't have to worry about all the people around us and what they're doing. We have to learn to just be present on our mat. And, I ask the questions for you guys on this yoga thing. Is it okay to just sit our butts down and do nothing for a while if we so desire? Yes, it is, you guys. If the final savasana feels like you need to do that for the whole hour, we can do that. We can rock out a child's pose anytime we want. So go back and listen to those if you're starting your yoga journey and you really want to get into that too. So let's just take a minute to listen to a few insights on yoga.
I came to yoga because of the body, because the running had done so much damage to my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss running. I would run
get the
early.
runner's high?
I got the runner's high. I was that one, I would get up I love the 5 a.m., 40 degree runs. I would go out to the state park and I would run, 6, 7, 8 miles. That was my peace.
That's what you love.
That's what helped.
Okay.
I loved it, but it did a lot of damage to my body.
It is hard on your body. Yeah.
Because I didn't take care of my body. If I'd have done yoga then, I'd still be running.
Okay. Right. Good to know.
Yeah. All you runners out there, stretch
it out. You got to take care of those joints, the whole
joints. Take care of the back. So I came because of a physical injury. What I got out of yoga was so much more.
Yeah.
And
I was engaged and I had my new fabulous ring on and I walk in the door and the teacher that received me immediately went to the ring. Oh my gosh, you're engaged, blah, blah, blah. And I just burst into tears and I said, he's dying. And she listened to me for a moment and then did something that was just such a special life-changing moment for me. She never touched me, hugged me, didn't pity me. No, there, little girl, none of that. She said, this is your home. And whether you come in here and flop around and bawl your eyes out, or you do every chaturanga and, show up with power, please keep coming. This is your permission to show up in any way, shape, or form, just as you are, to simply be going. And I took it to heart. And she was the strength, strong, badass, any yoga teacher that, sometimes I would crawl out of those classes, and for her to say, to extend that permission slip was something that I had never received as, a woman, an entrepreneur, business owner, whatever, in anywhere in my life. And I think looking back, one of the things that really inspired me to open Soul Dive Yoga in Palm Desert was this notion of giving people a place to go and extending that permission slip that you can show up however you are. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
They're
So the first thing I knew would be part of it is daily movement. Now I put yoga/movement. So it could be anything. It could be walking. It could be yoga. It could be running. But it has to be intentional movement. So our activities of daily living, while great, you look at your Apple Watch and it says stand up and our standing desks and all that, the walking the dog. Yes, that all counts. But this is a different category. This is intentionally giving yourself time for movement. And it can look like whatever you want it to look like. So I knew that would be one pillar.
For pillar number one, intentional movement. Oh, it's not good enough just to go about your day. I walk
that's
at work.
great. Right.
That's great. But you want to take a moment.
And for the purpose of exercise and health from a lifestyle point of view. And there's a whole track we can go down about the benefits of that. But if we're just saying, how does this help me be confident? Well, it helps me be confident because I'm taking time for myself. Exactly what you said before. I spent my whole life caring about everybody else. My confidence is depleted in part because I never put myself first. So when I say to myself, I'm making an appointment with myself every day to do some kind of movement, that helps me feel more confident because I'm a priority to myself.
in Kundalini yoga, we say that it's the fastest yoga out of the different yoga disciplines. And it's absolutely true. It's the fastest yoga. Some people say that by studying, let's say, Hatha yoga, practicing Hatha yoga, it will take you 7 years to rise the Kundalini, because ultimately each yoga leads towards that, right? But with Kundalini yoga, with how it combines the different elements, and, it's not so much movement based, but you got the breath, you got the mantra, you do have the movement, you have meditation, you have integration.
The biggest difference for the Kundalini yoga there's not as much movement, because like some, if you're doing a vinyasa flow or whatever, it's a full workout the whole time. This is my opinion. Okay. So the benefit is you're focusing more on breath work and the meditative part of it, the meditation part of it, along with the posing, right? Is that the difference?
It was starting to stir up emotions and discomfort, and not pain discomfort, but emotional discomfort, right? And I started having thoughts, and it was like, where's that thought come from? Why am I thinking that? And then all of a sudden, now I'm pissed off. I'm irritated. What's going on? And then, we were in another pose, and then all of a sudden I'm feeling like I want to cry. And she's talking about opening your heart, and I feel like I need a box of Kleenex.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, it was really different from anything else in terms of yoga that I had ever done. So at the end of class, I went up to her and I said, what the hell was this? And she's like, yin yoga. I was like, there were thoughts coming up from years ago that were stirring up some really unpleasant feelings in my mind and in my body. And she went, you're one of the ones who's experiencing the quote unquote other side of yin yoga. I realized that I ended up in that class for a reason. Nothing ever happens by coincidence as far as I'm concerned. So I was really getting into the vibe of tuning into my thoughts and my feelings and what kind of emotions were coming up. And then I was starting to feel them release out of my body. I would feel the irritation. Like I literally would go from feeling pissed to feeling blissed. So I don't negate the fact that there's a stretch happening, that joint and ligament is being stimulated in a really healthy way. Like I get all of that. We live in a Western world and we sit a lot and our bodies get really tight. We get really stressed out. I understand that aspect of it. I understand the meditative aspect of it, of just focusing on your breath while you hold a pose. But for me, from the very first yin class I ever took, I was not remotely interested in the fact that I was stretching out an area of my body. I didn't give a fuck about that. Okay. All I cared about was, my God, emotions are coming up and somehow my body is letting go of them. And now I'm feeling better mentally and emotionally. It was my therapy, but back then I didn't really make the connection that that's what I was thinking. It was therapy. I just thought, okay, well, I feel better.
We've also talked about dealing with these aging bodies of ours in midlife and how we're getting the aches and the pains and things we can do literally to physically heal ourselves. So we have lots of minis you can go back and listen to, how important getting back to nature is, and grounding. We talk about the grounding sheets and shoes and all the things. We talk about using yam cream to help balance your estrogen. We talk about GLP-1s and how they're not just for weight loss, using a CGM so we can really see what our blood sugars are doing all day long. We've got meditations, breath work episodes. Some of my solos talk about things that I personally do, different practices that I have, including being unapologetically lazy. That's one of my favorites. A couple guests, though, really stand out in this category. One, Kim Rogers, aka the Parasite Queen. Kim basically scared the shit out of us because we all have now realized that we are full of parasites and toxins and things that we have to get rid of. We have been storing these things up since childhood. Okay. And so, yes, this isn't a third world country thing anymore. This is all of us. So we go through into all the very, very specific things about the parasites, how to get rid of them, and all the things that will improve in our lives once those little suckers don't live in us, right? We got enough going on. We don't need to host a bunch of damn parasites in this body of ours. And then we had on Ellen Scanlon, and she talks about how cannabis can really be helpful for menopause symptoms and our overall well-being. We focus on the therapeutic benefits of cannabis, particularly for women in midlife experiencing menopause symptoms, right? We talked about improved sleep, hot flash reduction, pain relief, enhanced sexual well-being, mental balances. She explained how this is all connected to our endocannabinoid system and how we do not have to get high to get the benefits. It's all about that THC to CBD ratio. And then let's not forget Mickey Abels. Mickey and I talked about how using visualizations to heal really works. She talks about how she healed some of her physical ailments this way. I give examples about how I have utilized this to heal my body. Literally, you guys, using visualization and how important this is. I talked about how my sister lived through a blood clot by using some of this visualization stuff. It's real deal, you guys. So let's take a minute to absorb some of my favorite things that these three women said.
Awareness, it's just touching yourself in those moments. Like I said before, 70,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot to put your awareness on. And we have lots of other things going on in our lives. So when you find yourself kind of going to that place where, oh gosh, why am I saying that? Why am I thinking that? I ask you to backtrack a little bit. What was I thinking right before that? And how did I get there? And okay. And now I'm back thinking about that fight I had somebody a week ago, and now I'm all stuck.
Yep.
And we're sitting there maybe at our desks, and now we've activated the hormones of stress, fight or flight, by thought alone.
Yes.
So it's a very, very important. And we've not only that, we've activated the hormones of stress, and our body is reacting to it because our body doesn't know the difference between if we have a real threat in front of us to put us into fight or flight, or if it's perceived, which is just a thought.
Which is probably for people who struggle with anxiety. Mm-hmm. It's got to be a constant battle.
Yes,
you're always worse in your mind than they actually are. So, is there a way to shut that down?
Well,
when we go, wait, it's not as bad as my mind's making it.
So you look at what do I believe about that? What is true about what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
And you break it down. And it kind of goes back to how we started the conversation, or in the beginning of the conversation, is to look at those, become aware of your thoughts.
I mean, perimenopause and menopause are really tough. There's a lot more information that's coming out about them now. Cannabis can really help with a variety of the symptoms, and taking care of yourself may not look like what you thought. You know, I think for many years we thought it was go to the doctor and take a pill and you'll feel better. And that just isn't working for women. And cannabis is, because it's something that you can figure out how it works best with your body. And I really encourage women to just experiment, just try. Trying doesn't mean you have to keep doing it, but there are so many benefits, and I feel them. So many of my friends feel them. And I wanted to tell more people about it. And I'm so grateful that it's been helpful for you and that you want to tell your audience about it too. Because I think it's kind of like a girlfriend thing. You just have to talk to people, and somebody might need you to hear your voice to be like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about that, but maybe I will do it and try. And so access is making this a much easier thing to try. And a low dose product can be a great addition to your health and well-being. And it can also be fun.
Okay. First of all, THC versus CBD. Tell me about the difference.
Sure. THC is the intoxicating part of the plant. That is what will bring on the classic feelings of feeling high. If you're a medical patient, it's also what will take away your pain. So if you're in pain, you're going to need more THC than you think in order to feel better. CBD really helps with inflammation. It is the non-intoxicating part of the plant. And so that's the way to think about it. THC will get you high, CBD will not. And I think that what I like about CBD is it has all of the wonderful balancing effects that you get from having your endocannabinoid system balanced without any increase in intoxication. So the way that I like to feel with cannabis is like myself after a 5-mile run. That's sort of what makes it feel perfect for me. And what I need for that is a lot of CBD. So that's what I like to take. And then a little bit of THC, which can help to activate the CBD so that it will feel them more quickly, and you will feel a little bit more kind of classically what you expect. Like maybe you'll start laughing. Maybe you'll smell something delicious. Maybe you'll look out and see something beautiful. It kind of enhances the experience for you.
I just read parasite in Greek means uninvited dinner guest. You guys.
Yeah. It's gross, right?
Super
They
gross.
eat off
Okay.
the host. A parasite is anything that eats off a host. So there's different breakdowns. There's parasites, which is protozoas. There's cryptosporidium parvium, which is what I had, which was shutting down my organs. My husband had D. fragilis, and then there's Giardia. Those are all water-based type of parasites. You can catch them in other ways too, but that's the most common ways to catch a protozoa. Then there's a parasite called nematode. Nematode are the physical worms. So you've got parasites in worms. You also have things like lice and scabies. Those are parasites because they eat off the host. They steal the host's nutrients. That's why they're an uninvited dinner guest.
Yeah, they are. Oh my God. Okay,
But energetically, they can steal from us too. They can control your thoughts. Like toxoplasmosis controls your thoughts. It can actually make you do things like be promiscuous and have no fear. So the way that
you're living up in the brain, right? Okay, you guys, good stuff, right? Listen, as I'm doing this anniversary episode, I'm realizing I have so much to share with you guys. And you know me, I don't want to leave out any of my guests. I love them all so much. And I feel like they each had such important things to share. So here's what I've decided. I'm calling it. We're going to do this as a two-parter. You aren't going to need to wait. As soon as this is over right now, head into part 2 because we get into some of my favorite stuff. We're going to get a little woo-woo, of course. We're going to talk about how we can connect with spirit, finding our purpose and finding our proper soul's path, right? Finding our path, staying in our lane, all the good stuff. Just head right into part 2 right now, you guys, because you're also going to find out who was my favorite guest and my favorite subject of the whole year. Thanks for listening so far, you guys. Hop on over to part 2 and let's finish this up. Let's really dig into this last amazing year. Listen, I know your time is valuable. And right now, I'm feeling super grateful and totally humbled that you chose to hang out with me today. If this podcast resonates with you, could you do me a solid and hit that subscribe or follow button? That's going to help you out because you're never going to miss an episode. And it helps me out because you're never going to miss an episode. And if you have like 30 seconds more, could you leave a 5-star rating and maybe leave a kick-ass review? Thank you so much, and I can't wait to continue our journey on the next episode. Oh, and I can't forget the fine print. You know, the legal jargon. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We're just two friends on this journey together, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional. You get it. See you next time.